Dillon, obviously more opportunities for you to use your legs in this game, get out in space. How did that feel for you just in general in this game?
Yeah, I mean, it feels good. I think a lot of people, want me to switch to running back. I think, the new day and age of college football, they want quarterbacks to run, but I think it's when it's needed as well. And I believe, when we get in those certain situations, there's trust in my legs, but also just trust and belief in everyone, up front to help me out as well.
Yeah, and then the guys setting the edge on that, 54-yard run. I mean,
For sure.
Does that lead into what you're talking about? Just those guys making those plays.
For sure. It's all blocks downfield. I mean, I didn't get touched on the run, so it's things that, people don't see that, help me, make that play happen. So just proud of the guys up front. I think, just the way they've competed and continue to do so. It's been great to see.
Brian's going to roll in me asking 2 questions. James.
7 scoring drives, 6 touchdowns. Guys barely get stopped at all. What does that one feel like when it's that efficient, when it's that effective, and it looks like what I guess a lot of people expected it to look like?
Yeah, it feels good. I just think, as we continue to execute at a high level and play within the system, I think you're seeing confidence, from everyone within that. But then also us, molding together and finding, kind of our identity as well. And, I've said that before, but you just see all these players start to make plays and with the ball in their hands, and it makes my job a lot easier. But then, of course, we talk about it up front. I'm super proud of those guys, and pass pro, run pro, just communication, on the road, things that I haven't done with them, and they haven't done with me. So things you learn and continue to grow from.
Rob Mosley on the left.
Given the balance you had offensively, the job of defense did with the second half shutout, is there one key big reason you think kind of everything clicked? Everything under the umbrella kind of seemed to click today.
Yeah, not panicking. I think, like I said, we live in a world where if it doesn't look a certain way, right, there's opinions, but there's also, panic, right? And I just love how everyone in the building has continued to just focus on the process and getting better every single day. And I think that allowed us to just play confident, play free, and let it loose. So.
On the right here.
What's it like starting a game, 15 completions?
Good. I mean, you don't really think about it in the time, but I think when you watch it back, you look at ways to create completions, create positive plays. We talk about that a bunch, and keep moving the chains, and that not only builds rhythm, but I think builds confidence and continue to build drives from series to series. So it's that's how you'd love to write it up. So
Back right, Matt.
Last week after Boise, you said things had to change because you can't do the same thing and expect a different result.
Yeah.
What changed this week for you guys?
a bunch. I would love to tell you, but then the Krabby Patty secret formula is out. So no, we just day to day within practices we change things that could help us and benefit us, and that's for every individual position group, but then us as a unit, and then obviously as a whole team. But I think we continue to make adjustments, and that doesn't stop. But of course, you find kind of the formula for your group and keep building upon it.
Right here on the right.
You talk about confidence, comfortability, easing that panic, something that everyone kind of saw Oregon football do as a whole today. But we also saw you back there. You looked more comfortable. You looked more confident. We saw you dancing and celebrating. What did that feel like for you? Did you feel like you finally felt that comfortability back there in the pocket for the first time?
I think I always have felt that way. But more importantly, I always tell the O-line, you give me the time, I'll do the crime. So they've continued to do that, and I'm proud of them. I think it goes to show with any offense. I think when there's an offensive line playing at a high level, it allows the quarterback to play efficient, clean, and then of course the run game hitting like they did. They killed it. So
Back left, Brown.
After the last two games and things being a little tighter than you wanted at the end, how good did it feel to be able to come out midway through that fourth quarter and just be able to watch a game and know that you guys did a good enough job for you not to be out there?
Yeah, it felt good. I think the biggest piece of that is like being able to see guys who put in equal amount of time and work, be able to go on that field. And I think that is huge in itself. But also, I think winning in general, there's no better feeling. And just finding a way to go +1 is something that you want to do. Of course, you want to dominate, and do it a certain way. But I think adversity early and finding ways to win together as a team that, was building itself up, I think that's important too.
Staying in the back there.
Do you feel like Dan talks about just playing Oregon football and everyone's talked about playing up to the standard? Do you feel like this kind of is what you've seen in practice and finally you're able to do it when it matters this week? Or do you feel like there has been a really big jump in games and practice from weeks 1 and 2 to this week?
Yeah, I think in practice you look at it, whether it's penalties or negative plays or sacks on my end. I think a combination of a lot of things that, were self-inflicted. Not saying other teams weren't doing it, they were killing it as well, but there's a point too on offense where you're just not executing. And I felt like, I've said it, we shot ourselves in the foot, enough times to where we had to fix it. And I think when you see, wins like this, it's because you're executing at a high level, the run game's hidden, you're not in as many third downs and you're converting on third down. So, I think you look back, you want that flat potatoes back to, get the +4, 7 points instead of 3, but that's things we'll continue to clean up.
Staying in the back, Brett.
Dillon, 84% completion rate, nearly 1,000 yards passing and 6 touchdowns in the first 3 games. What do you contribute to your early success in your start here at the University of Oregon these first few games too?
Teammates, I think it's very apparent that you can't do this alone, and that's why we love football, right? It's the greatest team sport, ever, because all 11 have to click, on all cylinders, and it's extremely tough to do so, right? But I think it's all because of them and us coming together and finding ways. But I think the confidence in one another and continue to just keep fighting. I think that's helped me a bunch. The camaraderie between us.
3 more. We go Alec, Chris, then Tyson.
You've alluded to it a little bit, but I believe no sacks today. One, what do you make of the offensive line's performance today and keeping those clean pockets? But also on your end, what do you think you did better to avoid sacks?
Yeah, I think I'll start on my end. I think just creating completions and trying to get the ball out, but also moving when necessary and staying in the pocket when I don't have to. But I do think the pro was good all day. I don't think I really was touched. So I can't even explain how proud I am of them. I just like the way they continue to fight, and those are 5 guys you want to go to bat with, or 6, 7 guys that, I wouldn't want to do it with anyone else.
Chris, all right.
Yeah, you described the Idaho game and the Boise State game as strenuous for the offense. I'm wondering if you have a word to describe today's performance.
Explosive. If you have explosives, it helps you, I think we lacked that early on, but you're starting to see that happen. A 4-play drive instead of 15. I think that's common sense too. It's easier to mess up in 15 plays than 4, right? So I think when you have explosive plays, it helps. Creates momentum, creates rhythm, allows you to be on the plus side of the field more. There's just a lot that goes with that.
Last question, Tyson, on the right.
This is the one time you'll play Oregon State, and I'm curious how you would describe what it's like to be in, like, what the college football rivalry thing is like for somebody who's kind of a journeyman or who's been through 3 different, swings of this with different programs.
I think there's just more that comes with it, and a lot of history, which I appreciate, as a guy playing the game. But more importantly, I remember when I was a kid watching, Marcus play the Civil War and his famous hurdle. Like, those are things you don't forget. And then I think all week you hear about the rivalry. So I appreciate it. I think any way we can, keep rivalry games, I think it's important. Not only for the fans, but the players as well. And there's always an extra edge when you do play those games.
What was unforgettable about this one this year?
Gosh, it was just fun. I had a blast. I just have appreciated playing in a bunch of new places. From the Southeast all the way up to the Northwest. I think you just appreciate different environments. Sometimes it's fun, hearing fans just chirp at you. So I'll appreciate everything that came with it, and then of course, the dub.